Yo, what up, everybody? The show's here. Chris and Jason on the mic. Yeah, we got the city's ear. Talking Phillies baseball. It's the only thing to do. Welcome to the Ring the Bell Phillies show for me and you. Ring the bell. It's a Philly thing. You know we ring the bell. Go Phils. Ring the bell.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Ring the Bell, your Philly show. I am your host, Chris Francesco, joined always by the other host, Jason Kent. Jay, man, I feel like Thursday's opener was so long ago when, after watching these last two games in the opening series against the Rangers, but you were at opening day. You were at this afternoon's ball game. Give us the gist of, I don't like to use the word vibes because that's become like a Philly word now. Give me a gist of the feeling that this city has on this 2026 season.
Oh, they let them have it, look, especially today, they're struggling. You heard some boo birds with Bryce. They're just, it felt good Thursday, because we came out, we had to lead the whole game. So Thursday was a little bit better. They had to, they were up there. They got it. They gave up some runs late in the ninth inning. It was a little sketchy, but they were up 2-0 after the first. Schwarber first at bat of the season, hits a home run, and you feel like things are going right. They add another 3 with Bohm. Ninth inning gets a little dicey, but Duran comes in and saves the day. And then, we also happened. Nola did Nola things. And then what I didn't expect was Luzardo coming out and just really struggling today. And then it just felt like the offense really outside of, the big Friday, or I'm sorry, I keep saying Thursday, the 2 bombs. And then late yesterday's game, they didn't, in the ninth inning, they didn't really put anything together. It felt like, feels like the offense is a lot like it was at times last year, sketchy. I get it's early in the season and you kind of don't expect them to hit, but the Rangers came out hitting, doing well, doing their thing. Very disappointing, but it was nice to see, the fans, the field there is, they want us to win. They are expecting a winner. And that's why there was some disappointment today from that crowd. They weren't happy about what they're watching, and deservedly so, especially Luzardo. You just signed that massive contract. And you come out and you throw a performance like that. 5 runs in your first start. He's not starting the season this year like he did last year. And that was the worry. I think that was one of the things we touched on is my big fear is he's not going to be the guy where we saw in the first half of last year, first third of the season, but you don't expect him to come out today and look that bad. So it's disappointing. Yeah.
There's quite there's quite a bit to talk about. I mean, Luzardo, he allowed 6 runs in 6 innings Sunday afternoon, the most runs he's allowed since July 23rd of last year against the Red Sox. Again, kind of like, what Nola was going through on Saturday. It just seemed like the location wasn't there. They just didn't have it. I mean,
Nola hitting him well. You don't want to see both of them were getting hit hard. Both of them. That's the problem.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say this is all on the pitching staff. I mean, obviously a lot of runs were scored, but the Phillies hit 183 in the opening 3-game series. They were no hit, for just about 5 innings on Saturday. They were hitless through 5 innings today. This was not good. I know people call me a mark for Bryce Harper, and I'll admit it. I can be, but anyone who's been watching these shows over the last couple years, if Bryce needs to be shredded, I will come on here and shred him. I will call for him to be traded at least 8 times a season. But last Friday, he goes 0 for 4 on opening day with 2 strikeouts. And the next thing we hear on 97.5 The Fanatic is this guy washed? Should the Philly fans be worried? all these things over the opening game of 100 with 161 games left. This is what they're talking about. And what I get mad about is, and Jason texted it to me today because look, Jason's a real one. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. If yours an issue, Jason will come after you, even if it's his favorite player. It doesn't matter. While that was being talked about Bryce and the media and fans on socials running with it, ever since that home run from opening day, Kyle Schwarber has a single hit, which he got a meaningless hit in his last at on
today, yeah,
and he's got 7 strikeouts.
Not good.
So, you know, if we're gonna shred our 3-hole hitter, which should be our best player, then let's shred the guy who hit 56 home runs and 130 RBIs last year and hasn't done anything since opening day of that first inning home run. You know, Justin Crawford and Bryson Stott and for a moment Alec Boehm are the guys that are making solid contact for this team. But, you know, like we talked about before, Jay, if Schwarber and Bryce aren't hitting, it's going to be really hard to win a lot of ball games. And we kind of saw that. We kind of saw that today and Saturday. You know, today, let's just, I mean, what was it? The 8th inning, the Phillies they were buzzing. It was 6-2. Harper comes up with the bases loaded, 1 out, strikes out, foul tip into the glove. And then Alec Boehm flies out. So there are moments where, you know, on Saturday, Kyle Schwarber had opportunities to kind of get the Phillies back into it, and he did not. Bryce did have that big RBI, I believe, in the 9th or the 10th on yesterday on a broken bat single. So, again, I mean, Harper had 2 more walks on Sunday, but still, it's not enough.
And they weren't taking advantage of the opportunities. Like the big
No,
one,
they were not.
Especially yesterday. You know, Berger, the only reason they really got back into that game was Berger's second error. You know, in the first error, you're like, okay, now the Phillies can, you know, now we can do something. Now we can catch up some runs. And I think they had a guy on first and second, and just didn't do anything. And then next inning, Berger comes up and smashes a bomb. So it's one of those things like, you know, in baseball, it feels like it's always one way or the other. You know, the team makes the mistake, you either capitalize, or the dude that makes the mistake comes out and makes you pay. And it really felt like Texas wanted it more. They were going after it. And the Phillies just didn't capitalize on most of their opportunities. And that's a big problem. You know, yesterday, I was really mad yesterday when you're watching, when we get into the 10th inning and Duran spikes the sweeper, whatever it was he threw, gives up a run. And then the next pitch, he's throwing 100 miles an hour. Like, why are we trying to spike something in the dirt with the guy on third when you got gas like that? And it's tough. You can't go 5 for 37 with your top 3 hitters. It's not it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable what Nola did. It's not acceptable what Luzardo did. It is. Everybody from the top down, you know, even today with you know, Garcia making that play. I get the Suns there. You know, there are there's a few things to be positive about. So I don't want to truly kill him because I was super excited. You know, you mentioned with Crawford being in the 9-hole, he's going to have an opportunity to turn that lineup over, which, you know, to his credit, he batted, you know, he hit the ball well. He, you know, took some walks in some key situations that were not him. You know, or maybe like, you know, you kind of guys on. I think yesterday we took a walk to load the bases to get Turner back up. So it's one of those things like, you know, you see that. I'm excited for some of that stuff, but yeah, when your top 3 hitters aren't hitting the ball, you're not going to win many ball games. But the one thing I do want to say with Schwarber is this is what you expect from him. You know, I know
You're right.
He's going to go through those stretches where he's going to struggle, and you got to have to accept that. We know, you know, he's really he's probably 230 to 250 guy maybe, but he's going to get a lot of strikeouts. So you know you're going to get that home run and the massive home runs, the big ones, but you're also going to get stretches like this where he may have, you know, 1 home run and a terrible hit, but you really don't expect Trey to struggle. You don't expect Bryce to struggle like that, and you really, you know, don't expect Boehm when you hit your top 4 dudes. You know, with adding Boehm in there, I think they had 7 hits and over 50 at bats, so that's 47 at bats. You can't your top four dudes aren't producing, it's not, it's going to be a long season, and I don't like it.
No doubt. And look, my main thing here for those who will see the picture, the headline thumbnail of this show on YouTube, it will say, relax. We do have to relax here. I mean, we have 159 games left. The Phillies are historically very slow starters, especially because shockingly, when you play in Philadelphia, it doesn't matter how many years you're here. It's like these guys forget that March and April are horrible to play baseball in Philadelphia, and like no one just figures that out. But the weather's not always great at the end of March, obviously into April. So the Phillies are just historically not a great team until we get into mid-May, June, where you see them really start to mash the ball. Ryan Howard historically said, don't talk to me, Chase, or Jimmy until June. That's when we really start to ramp things up, when it starts to get a little bit warmer, a little bit hot.
But flies a little bit, yeah,
for sure. But again, unfortunately, this weekend the ball was flying for the other team. I don't know what it is about a guy like Mackenzie Gore, but he loves playing the Philadelphia Phillies.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like Jason, like you said, the Phillies had their chances today. They trailed 6-0 at one point. Mackenzie Gore loaded the bases with no outs. Bryce Harper, who struck out, swinging on 4 pitches, he heard the boos as he returned to the dugout, as he should. Gore then gives a little bit of life here. He drills Alec Bohm with a pitch. That plates the Phillies' first run. Adolis Garcia comes up. He gets a sac fly to left that scored their second, but then he gets like a 9 or 10 pitch at bat. Adolis Garcia. Up comes pinch hitting Bryson Stott. And I texted Jay right after this in all capital letters, 0 patience. Adolis Garcia just worked like a phenomenal at bat, 9-10 pitches. Bryson Stott with the bases loaded comes up and swings the first pitch and hits a little ground ball to the pitcher. And I'm thinking to myself, what is Kevin Long saying to these guys? When you're a pinch hitter, the last thing you want to do is come up there when you guys are you got some thunder going on right now. You have a real solid chance to possibly get back into this game, and that's what you do. There's just things that this team does, and Jay says it every year. It's bop or bust, and this team cannot be that way. They can't do it anymore. You have to manufacture runs. If it's going to be home run or bust, then I'm going to be miserable for 6 months.
It's going to be a long season. And it felt like the Rangers, every time they did, the Phillies all weekend, they started to get back into it outside of Friday. I'm sorry, Thursday. I keep saying Friday, Thursday.
That's right.
Yesterday and today, like they put up the 2 runs, the next inning, the top half, they score 2 more and go. So it's like every time, they in the 9th, they tie it up, the 10th, they come in and the Rangers do their thing. It just felt like every time the Phillies started to get some momentum, that the Rangers just wouldn't allow it. Their offense came out and did their job, which when you're watching it, man, you really expect it. I get the Rangers, have some dudes, but this shouldn't have been a series where you lost 2 games, not at home opening, all of that. And I don't know, it's the kind of the easy things to talk about, or maybe, Bohm still going through, whatever issues he's going through. I know all the whole Harry the Case thing, everybody's talking about that. Bryce, the not elite. So the storylines were there, and it was there for them to shut everybody up this opening series. They had the opportunities, and they just fell short, my worries, now my meter with Luzardo, as much as I did, was going with it. I was okay with the deal if he performs. But it was one of those ones where I just wasn't sold on him. I haven't been sold on him in a while. And when you asked, I still think they can get to 92 wins and do a lot of those things. But I think maybe I overreacted some on our yearly preview show.
Well, Jesus Luzardo's stat line,
okay, but
I for sure. But Luzardo's stat line was just not good. 6 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Zach Pop again comes in, can't find the strike zone. He gave up another 2 earned runs. He stinks. But I'm not gonna just again call on those guys. Johan Duran was terrible yesterday.
Yep.
I mean, that was just brutal. Like you said, the pitch calling, just weird decision making in that game. But look, it's just wild. The Phillies lose their opening series at home. They lost only 3 series at home all of 2025.
Damn,
Um,
yeah.
so the club is a
That's tough.
22-3-1 series win percentage at home last year, tied for the best in baseball since 1969. And then all of a sudden, just like that, the Phillies have already dropped their first series at home. The Rangers held the Phillies to just 18 hits over 3 games. Like we said, there was about 8 total innings of the weekend where the Phillies had no hits. So again, like Jay, like you said, man, this was just not the weekend that we expected. I thought that opener against the Rangers was more or less how the series was going to go. I didn't think, or I guess I had a little bit too much hope for an Aaron Nola start for his first start of the season. I thought actually watching the first couple innings of Nola, I thought his stuff looked good. I saw a couple times where he was touching 94. I saw 95 once. But again, it's just the same thing. He gives up that home run, and it's like everything just goes away at that point. He threw 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. That 3 earned runs isn't horrible, but again, he rode the pitch count up a little bit. I would have liked to have seen them get through the 6th inning. But again, I guess, Jay, we have to assume that every Aaron Nola start, you're probably going to see a 3 spot up there.
Yeah, and I think it's always good to at least bet on a home run against him. At this point, it's struggle. It's very rare. I think he was close to like 25. I don't look at the stat. I know every year he's up there in league lead. And then you come in and you text me. I got a couple of messages in the morning yesterday. DeGrom rolls over, checks his phone, hurts his neck, ecstatic,
Yeah.
made fun of him.
Right.
On
I
the other
bet.
side, me
Yep.
being 39, I totally get it. I've hurt my neck rolling over, grabbing my phone too, so I understand. But then, they come in against Jacob Latz, who, the dude, okay, he may not, his stats not last year didn't look terrible, but this is not a dude that should have shut this offense down. He doesn't really start many games. He only had 8 starts all last year. First spot start comes in, and really outside he was pitching a perfect game until Berger dropped that ball. So
Yeah.
he dominated, and you can't have a guy like that coming in making a spot start. I know everybody's like, you don't get DeGrom. I don't know if maybe it's not DeGrom. Let's ease up. We're going to hit this guy. But that was a game where they should have taken advantage of a missed opportunity. I get the weather's cold and all of that stuff, but the Rangers had no problem hitting some boppers. Andrew McCutchen came back and hit one today. So the other team didn't have any issue. I know, Friday we hit 2.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday we hit 2.
Yep.
But outside of that, they didn't do anything. They didn't have power. It's tough. You can't get dominated by Mackenzie Core and Jacob Latz and not do much else. It's disturbing. It's not going to last forever. I would say I'm excited because we have the Nats coming up, but the Nats are 2-1. We're in last place in the division after 3 games. And the one thing that made me chuckle, you saying that in our group chat late yesterday, one of the dudes texts, he's like, yo, team's just like last year, can't hit just like last year. One of the dudes, he's like, yeah, game 2 really decides the season. So it made me chuckle. And that was my first, I get it's game 2, but you're right. It's going to be a long season. If Luzardo is, I expect him to get better. Nola, I can't say I expect to get better. I know I said in the beginning of the season he was going to be my guy. But after that start, he especially after how he looked in the World Baseball Classic, looking really well in a bunch of his starts, locating, not giving up the big hits. He did a lot of that yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's not exciting. I think, I'm excited to see Painter come through. I'm excited for Crawford. I like some of the things I saw, but there's a lot to not be excited about for the weekend. But again, like you said, we're 3 games in. Schwarber, I expect it. Bryce will break out of it at some point. You just hope it you hope we're not, because we did say this could be the last year of it. I'm hoping it's not. We re-signed JT and Schwarber and it's over. That would suck.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, there are a couple positives. Like you did say, I thought Stott, except for that pinch hit at bat, he swung the ball very well. I thought Alec Bohm and Spots did very well, but also, we can't we can't discount, man, the impact that Justin Crawford has already made.
Yeah.
He's got, I think he's got the best OPS on the team right now, and probably the best batting average. But he makes a great play in center field. I love the fact that if a ball gets hit out there that way, I can just be like, all right, cool. It's going to be fielded correctly, or it's going to be caught. I'm good. I don't have to think about it anymore. Jay, I know it's been 3 games again. I mean, we're all talking about this. We're 3 games in. How you feeling about Justin Crawford? I don't think the kid's playing like a rookie. That's for sure.
No, I like what I seen. Like I was saying earlier, he had some big hits up the middle. It was great to see, being there Thursday with his first game, getting I think the first 2 at bats he got a hit, right up the middle. So it's exciting to see that. Easy for him to get that off his back. And like I said, there were some moments where he drew a walk. I think I forget what day it was. It's either yesterday or today. Drew that walk to get on base, to load him up, to turn that lineup over. So the things you're seeing him do, he didn't steal a bag. I don't think he had many opportunities to this weekend. But I'm glad with what I'm seeing. And if he can play, that was a great play. It wasn't one of the hard. I'm sure it was harder than what I think it was. Like, it's always hard, but it wasn't terrible, and it's great to see him go out there and make those plays, because last year, with Rojas and Marsh, you don't know if that play actually gets made. So he does make, and he made it look pretty routine. So it's going to be good to see a real center fielder out there. And if Trey continues to struggle, man, if he can stay hot, if this kid can get on base, I do think moving him up, I do think having someone on base and having, if he can hit the ball, getting some fresh energy at the top of that lineup, which I don't, listen, it actually works that we went 1 and 2, so I can talk about it, but getting him to the top of that lineup. But until Schwarber and Harper really start turning it on, I don't care who bats where, this team's going to struggle. And it's really up to Topper to start figuring it out, because you don't want a season like they had when in 22, when, what the hell's his name, got fired. They struggled early on. So it was one of those things. Girardi, you don't want to see one of that, because I do think if this team does struggle coming April, you could see a quick trigger on Topper this year.
Donnie baseball, man. But yeah, I mean, I know, except for his 2 hits on opening day, Turner is 0 for his last 9 with a walk. So, again, I'm not pulling any triggers now. I'm not saying, hey, everybody, you should take your shirts off and panic. I'm just basically saying, you have a guy down there at the 9 hole who is hungry, wants to prove that he belongs in Major League Baseball every day. I don't think, we all kind of know Topper at this point. I do not see Turner leaving that leadoff spot, and if he does, he's going to lose it to the 2-hole hitter. That's basically, I think, what Topper would do. But if Crawford keeps doing what he's doing and he keeps hitting the ball, he keeps getting on base, you never know. It's not something I'm saying now. We're not 97.5 or WIP where I'm saying Turner needs to be moved to the 9-hole after 3 games. Because, again, we're talking 3 games here, everybody. They're playing the Nationals this week, starting Monday. This team, the top 3 could go 15 for the next 20 for all we know. We don't know. It's a pretty significant series coming up. They're going to wrap up their 6-game homestand to open the season against the Washington Nationals. Taijuan Walker will pitch Monday. Andrew Painter will make his long awaited debut in Major League Baseball Tuesday night. And then Wednesday, the Phillies will wrap up the series with Christopher Sanchez on the mound. I'll be at that.
God, he looked great. He looked so good.
I wanted to bring that up. That was going to be the last thing I wanted to say, that the most positive thing of the weekend is that dude just gets better every time he's out there.
Dominated, yeah. It was fun to watch. Like, I know I was a little, I wasn't as skeptical. I was somebody I wanted to see him this year if he could stay at the top. I was a little skeptical. But man, yeah, it was positive seeing him. It's exciting. Watching him dominate on, he deserved it. Going forward, listen, I get if Wheeler's healthy, Wheeler's the opening day starter. But this kid, I'm excited for his future because I do think he's going to be special.
Yeah, for sure. And he's oh my god. I'm at the point with him that I maybe it's too early, maybe it's not, but I just feel with him how I feel with Zach Wheeler. When he's on the mound, I'm like, just get 2 runs, 3 runs, we're good. We're settled in here. So that's a really special thing to have. All right, so
Otto Kemp should not be playing that. Like I watched him today, like misplay both like two or three balls. Like I'm sitting here, like, come on, bud. You're running. I get you may not have been, but you're running into the wall and it's bouncing off. Like you don't understand. You were here last year. You played some left field last year.
Yes,
you need to be better than that. To me, if he's like to me, the grand scheme of things, it may not seem like a big deal, but I think too many of those plays over the season, that's what's going to cost him more playing time because defensively Marsh is a better defender. And so that's a struggle. You don't want to see that. I didn't like that at all. That really bugged the poop out of me. I'm not going to curse. I'm not a cursor, but that's a lie. But yeah, I didn't like that at all. And his bat's not good enough to be making plays like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to see how many times he played in the field last season. So let me I'm just trying to find his splits here. I don't know why it's not giving it to me, but nonetheless, he has played. Yeah, okay. So last year he played 11 games in left field, 22 games overall in the outfield. So he knows how to play baseball. And they were just horrifically misread balls from Otto Kemp that you just can't have. But that was basically that was like the epitome of the weekend, where was those two miscalculations from Otto Kemp. But coming up, Jay, the Washington Nationals. What are you specifically? What are maybe like 1 or 2 things that you're really going to hone in on and pay attention to in the second series here of the opening season, where hopefully maybe things can get back to normal? But what are a couple of things that you're specifically going to pay attention to?
To me, number one has to be Painter. You got to see.
Sure.
You want to see what he does. Hoping he feels like he's only 22, 23.
Yeah,
I feel like we've
22.
been talking about him forever. So I want to see how he comes out. There were some times he did look very good in spring training. He's looked good for a while. So you want to see what he does. And to me, it has to see the offense wake up. You need to see the top 3 do something against a team that we traditionally do manhandle. So I feel like it should be at minimum of 2-1. The offense, but I do want to kind of throw what I want to see. What I want to see from Walker, because it's talking today, man. If Painter looks good, you might want to keep him in. How's Walker look? Like I'm not talking about keeping him all year, but if Walker's looking good, you might have to move. I know they're talking about Sean Manaea in New York being the highest paid bullpen guy. Nola might have to be that if he can't figure something out, because you can't continually throw him out there. I get he gives you the innings, but right now with the struggle, one of those guys got to be your 5. So if Walker comes in and looks good, and he looks good for a couple starts, there may be some questions there of who's going to be your 4th starter with Painter being your 5. Who's going to be that 4 guy? Is it going to be Nola or is it going to be Walker?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boy, that's going to be a question. I mean, can you imagine getting to the point where we're wondering if Taijuan or Aaron Nola are your 5th starters?
I never thought I'd say that. That's something, because I definitely don't want Walker. So it's not something like I'm trying to champion for Walker to be the guy.
Of course.
And I'm a big Nola guy, but Nola's really, every year he does this. He does, and I still try. I don't know what it is about the guy that I want to see him, do well. I think it's, he's a Philly. I've been watching him a long time. I do want to see him pitch well, because him pitching well helps us. But every year I have high hopes for the kid, and he struggles. He needs to figure something. You're not going to figure it out now. He is what he is. So you hope he has better starts, but it's not a great way to start the season for him.
No, it's not. But like we said, coming up here, 3 game set against the Nats starts Monday. Again, Taiwan gets the ball Monday. Painter his debut on Tuesday. Christopher Sanchez on Wednesday. And again, like Jay said, this is a 2-1 Nats team who have scored 18 runs in their first 3 games. However, they did give up a 10 spot yesterday against the Cubbies. But still, 18 runs in the first 3 games is nothing to laugh at, especially when I'm going to be quite worried that Taiwan takes the hill on Monday. But Jay, what are you thinking of the series? You think things get back on track, or do you think we still have some issues to get through?
Listen, we should win. It should be at least a 2-1 series. I
I
think
agree.
I do think the offense will produce. I think Bryce has got to be tired of hearing of it. So at some point, these guys got to start coming around. I do think maybe being at home, whatever the case may be, let them have it. I do think they break out of it. I think they put up some runs against this Washington team, which isn't really a very good team. I get they're 2-1, and they did both 2 wins against the Cubbies, but I don't think they're a very good team. The one kid to watch out for, it is going to be fun, seeing what James Wood can do.
Mm-hmm.
I know he didn't have a great series, but he's a big boy. He's got big boy power. So hopefully they don't give up too much to him. But I do think this Phillies team, I wouldn't be shocked if they did go 3-0 and really just dominate the national team. And it feels like it could be that after this weekend. They're going to regroup. But listen, I'm going to go 3-0. I'm going to say not scrap the 2-1. I'm going 3-0. I do think they come around. But I'm excited. I'm excited for Painter. That's what the one I'll be paying attention to most.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see season sweep. I think we're going to see a series sweep here. James Wood is 1 for his first 13 to start the season. So again, I think these things all the time. Like all of a sudden he's struggling, and then here it comes. Philadelphia Phillies rolling the town, and James Wood will go 4 for 4.
Nola might, he might catch up with Nola because the dude's got power. So if he gets a hold of Nola, he's going to send him deep.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see Andrew Painter on Tuesday. I'll be at the game Wednesday, but I love the chance to see Christopher Sanchez. But I'm going to be interested in seeing what the Phillies get out of Taiwan tomorrow night, Monday night. I'm hoping it would be really, really great if they can get 6 innings out of him, because the Phillies unfortunately did have to chew up their bullpen all weekend. So it would be nice to get a little bit of a break there, maybe go 6. And if things are going really well, get a 7th out of Taiwan. It means your 5th starter. So if the guy can get you 7 innings, you get 7 innings out of him. But that would be,
I think Tuesday might be. He's going to be on. I'm assuming Painter's going to have a pitch count.
what,
right?
like between 80 and 90, maybe
I was thinking
maybe
more 70, 80.
70 to 80. Yeah, you're probably
Especially
right
him
there.
coming up. I think it's closer to that. So you're going to see a lot more bullpen.
Yeah.
So I do. Yeah, I agree with you. I'd like to see Walker pitch a little bit deeper into games because they did use a lot of it this weekend. And I don't know if I think Painter, unless he's really rolling, he might go 5. I feel like that probably the max he'll go.
I think you're probably right about that. I would say, probably 75 pitches will be his max. But all right, so Jay says sweep, I say sweep. That'll wrap up our first real Sunday show of the regular season. Wish it was on a higher note, but I do think significantly more positive ones to come. We should be back here Wednesday night. The Phillies play early, 1 o'clock on Wednesday. So we should be back here Wednesday night for our midweek roundup and then preparing for the weekend series. Jay, thank you so very much. Guys, do us a favor. Head over to SeatGeek.com right now. Use our code RINGTHEBELL for $20 off your very first ticket purchase. It's on the bottom of the screen the entire time we always do this show. Thank you so much to SeatGeek to sticking with us for another season. Really do appreciate that. Again, Ring the Bell is the code for $20 off your very first ticket purchase at SeatGeek.com. All right, Jay, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this video, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that little bell for notifications when we are going to go live again. We'll be back here Wednesday night. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their weekend, and we'll catch you guys down the road. Have a great one, everybody. And as always, go Phils.